Hi there, welcome back to my channel Scrap and Coffee. I'm currently working on a journal set, and in this video I am constructing the folio that you can use either as a photo folio or for memorabilia or as an ephemera holder. So yeah, let's get to it. We need to start with our base. That's going to be made out of one piece of cardstock, your piece A, and this piece needs some preparations before we can start the actual building basically. So in the cutting guide you find the measurement. It's 6 3/4 by 12 inches, and you've scored according to the cutting guide at 4.5 inches, 5 1/8 of an inch, 9 5/8 and 10 1/4. And I'm going to give this some additional score lines. I'm going to score every 1/8 of an inch in between the two score lines. So in between the score line that I've made at 4.5 and at 5 1/8 of an inch, I'm going to score every 1/8 of an inch. And I do the same thing here between the 9 5/8 and the 10 1/4 inch score line. Okay. What I also will do, because I have my scoreboard now here, is our pieces B. These are going to be flaps. We scored them at 1/2 inch, and I'm also giving it a score mark, not too hard, just a light score mark at 5/8 of an inch on both of my pieces, and this will give me a guideline later on when we continue constructing. Back to our piece A, because that's the main piece that we are working with for now. We've scored all those marks, and we are going to fold on every score line towards the bumpy side and burnish that. I basically just fold on whatever score line is cooperating, and then I pinch on all the score lines in between. Okay, that was the last one. And once we folded up all of them, you kind of get a curved spine there. And then we have two panels that we can work on, and then the short part will form our closure. Because I want to make my spines a little stronger, I'm going to use a tape. Another option is to use Tyvek, or some packaging tape is a good option. Maybe it doesn't give you the best look, but it is an option. You can also leave it just like this. I'm going to use the repositionable fabric tape from 49 Market, and I'm going to use the 1-inch roll. You will get a 2.5 inch roll, a 1 inch roll, and then 2 rolls that are 1/2 inch. This is black, but you also have rolls that coordinate with our paper collections, but it's repositionable. This is not going to hold if you just stick it on your cardstock. So I need to, basically your best option is to go with a fabric glue like Fabric Tag, but for what I'm doing here, I'm going to use my double-sided tape. And later on, if I'm going to place my add-on pieces on top of the fabric, I will use Fabric Tag. The other thing that makes your life a little bit more difficult with this tape is that it's going to be hard to see your score lines on the inside, which can make it a little bit more difficult to see where your pieces need to be attached. So please keep that in mind. So on the center of the spine, I've placed some 3/8 inch tape, and I'm gonna go on both sides with a 1/4 inch strip, and I try to stay close to my 3/8 inch tape because my roll of fabric tape is only 1 inch wide, right? So I hope that I can cover up all my double-sided tape with my fabric tape. Give that a good burnish, and I'm just removing the tape backings on one side. Get my tape, and I'm giving myself, let's say, about 1 inch on overlapping that I can fold over And I try to cover up all my double-sided tape. And the packaging comes with a nice cutter, but that's not working very well when it's on my piece, so I just use my scissors. Give that a burnish, and then I'm going to place some tape here on the inside as well to make sure that that stays in place. So try to pull it tight, but yeah, not too tight because you will curve your cardstock. So don't pull on it too hard. Okay, and then I will do the other one off camera, but what I want to show you what I will do as well is here on the inside is again do some double-sided tape. I don't go all the way to the top, I give myself some space. And I make sure that I don't go too close to the edge of the tape. I know it's hard to see with the black on black, but I just try to make sure that again I can cover it up with my 1-inch roll, and I do a little strip in between as well. So again, give that a good burnish. And then place a strip here just to give it a better finished look, right? Sticking to my own tape there. So try to line it up and then cut it off. And again, give that a good burnish, and then I will reinforce my score lines once I've done the other side as well. Just do that in one go. So I'm going to do the same thing on this spine. Okay, so once the tape is on there, I really try to reinforce the folds where my attachments need to go or need to stay away from. So that's like the score lines that are mentioned in your cutting guide on this piece. Those are the ones that I'm really reinforcing here. Okay, so next up I've selected a piece of pattern paper. I need to get my ruler. I think I know, but still, where am I? My piece is going to be like this. I'm on the back, on the middle panel, on the back, on the outside. And this should be 4.5 inches wide. Yes, that's also a double check that I folded on my right score lines, because that should be a 4.5 inch piece by 6 3/4. So I'm going to cut my piece of pattern paper to size. I'm going to cut it to 6 5/8, and I think I'm just going to do that from the bottom by 4 3/8. And what I will do is cut it here where I still have the just before the metal, and then cut it to center the typewriter on it. Okay, so I ended up with that piece 6 5/8 by 4 3/8, and I'm going to place this on the back. Why not? Yeah. So I'm going to ink my edges. I'm just going to use some black ink. Okay, and because I'm sticking this down on top of that fabric tape, I'm going to use fabric tack on those long sides. I probably fill it up with some wet glue maybe, but I'm also adhering it with some double-sided tape. So this is from the Lady Vagabond Lifestyle collection. 8x8 paper pad. So make sure that I have some nice fabric tape there on the long side where it goes on to that fabric tape. And you will see that with my add-ons I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do that with fabric tape here and there. Because if you do it with your double-sided tape on top of the fabric tape, that's going to come off. That's not going to stay. It's not made, your double-sided tape is not made to use on fabric, so keep that in mind. Giving that a good burnish. And now I want to place an eyelet here. So I'm going to find the center, which should be 3 3/8 from the top and 3 3/8 from the bottom. That's going to be right on top of that typewriter, but okay, that is what it is. So I mark that center, and then I'm going to mark. I'm gonna do 1 1/4. And I measure from the edge of my pattern paper. 1 1/4. So let's remove that one. And for setting the eyelet on that far into the piece, I need a big bite. So I'm going to punch my hole where I marked it. And I want to have some elastic cord. And I'm going to do, I think, about 10 inches, something like that. I hope I have enough for everything that I want to use it on. So about 10 inches. And I want to place that in through the hole. Okay, sorry, there's a little bit of background noise, but I'm going to continue. So I placed both ends through the hole, and I want it to be about going to the middle of the spine here on the back. And I'm going to adhere the ends in that position, or you can put a little clamp on them to hold them in place, but towards the sides. I hope by doing this that it's going to be a little bit easier for me to try to get that eyelet in here, because it's of course a little bit of a snug fit right now. Okay, the eyelet is in. I don't have it going exactly where I want it, but I guess it's good enough for me. Let's not damage this. So go into my eyelet setting. I'm setting this eyelet. Let's see. Okay, there we go. And now this, I'm going to cut this a little shorter. I'm going to find myself a scrap piece of Tyvek. I have something here. I thought I had a smaller piece, but okay. I just got a different piece because there was already tape on here, and I actually want my tape on the black. Just roughly cutting it to size where it covers the whole thing. And on the black side, I'm going to put some tape around the perimeter. I basically want to prevent that I have tape on the opening of the eyelet, because you can see through it, and that's why I do it on the black side, so I can see black when I look on the back side of my piece. So I'm giving this a little bit of a patch with Tyvek because the eyelet is also a little sharp. You can also do it with some cardstock or something, right? But the Tyvek doesn't rip. So it's basically protecting stuff that I'm going to place in there. This is partially going to be covered up by a pocket. And I just want to protect the piece. So stick it on there. If you only have white Tyvek, you just get yourself a Sharpie, a black Sharpie, or a different alcohol ink marker, and you color that center part that's going to show black a little bit, because now when I look in the eyelet, it's black behind it and not white. That's why I do it like this. Okay, so after those preparations, we can start building. And for building, we are going to start with our pieces B. Now I need to put tape on here. On one I can put tape, on the other one I'm going to do it with fabric tag. So that's why I didn't have the tape on there yet. So tape will go on the dented side of your pieces unless I say otherwise. I always try to make a little note of that in the cutting guide as well. There are two pieces, that's two of the same pieces, but that we are going to apply it to the bumpy side, but I will always mention that. And always with folding, you fold towards the bumpy side unless stated otherwise. Now on piece B, we scored on 1/2 inch according to the cutting guide, and on that score line we are going to fold. The other one that I made in the beginning of the video is just a guideline. We are not going to fold on it, it's just a guideline. So that one is going there, and this one I'm going to taper. That's for hiding construction. I did that on the other piece B as well. And I'm going to fold on that 1/2 inch score line, but I'm going to build on it before I'm going to attach it into the base. This one will go right there. So we are going to start building. Yeah, we already started, but we did pieces B, so now we go to pieces C. And I am going to make a little notch with my envelope punch board, which is optional. You can also use a circle punch or something. So let me find the center of these pieces. And that is 2 3/16 of an inch, so just over 2 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to find that mark and make a punch, and I will do the same thing with the other PC. Here is that piece of Tyvek that I was looking for. Okay, and miter the corners. Didn't really cut that nicely. Okay, so now we can fold and burnish on all 3 score lines. Okay, I'm going to get the one without the tape in my case. If you're not using the fabric and you have tape on there, then one of your pieces B, and I'm going to have the fold on my right hand side, but I'm going to lay it flat because it's just a little easier with attaching. And what am I going to do is I'm going to line up the bottom of the pocket with that additional score line that I've made, and then the fold here with the bottom cut edge. And of course that's really hard to see on camera, but I use that additional score line as a guideline to get my piece on there straight, about 1/8 of an inch away from my actual fold. So you do that however works for you. I'm starting with placing that corner and then bring it along that score line and stick that down. And then the second PC, we are basically just bumping up against the first one. Again, aligning that with that additional score line and it should line up with your top cut edge there. So that is prepared. Then we have piece D, which is a large pocket. And again, I'm going to do a punch on this one, but I want it to be offset on the top. So I am going to use the same measurements that I did on piece C, the 2 3/16 of an inch. So just in between the 2 1/8 and the 2 1/4. And I measured that from the left cut edge with the dented side facing me, with the tape side facing me, right? And then I will get an offset notch on the top of that pocket, but it's lined up exactly with the notch of piece C on top. And I am going to miter the corners again. And fold and burnish. Then I get my other piece B, this time where the fold is on my left hand side, and I am going to again align it with the bottom cut edge, my additional score line, and then it should also line up with the top cut edge. So I'm turning my piece so I can see that score line. And bring the long side along that score line, because there you have the highest risk of going off. And then I'm just going to stick down the sides. Okay, so that's going there. And then we have two pieces E, right? Yep, E. These are going to form belly bands, so you have two score lines and you can fold on them towards the bump again, right? Burnish. And one is going on top of piece D and the other one is going on top of our pieces C. And you can place this basically however you like that. I like it to be, I'm going to measure from the bottom of my piece C, that folded edge. I'm going to measure 5/8 of an inch. So I'm doing that underneath the piece. 5/8 of an inch, and I will also do that on top. Just as a guideline to make sure that I go straight. You don't really have to do these things, but it's just what I do. And then I remove the tape backing and I'm going to stick the right cut edge basically on top of the pencil mark, so I don't have to worry about removing it anymore. And hopefully that is straight, and then I have the other pencil line there to guide me to the top where I need to stick it on top. Okay, then that side is prepared, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Again, I measure from the bottom of my piece D, which is in my case on the left hand side, 5/8 of an inch inwards. Get one tape backing removed, stick it with the left cut edge on top of the pencil mark. And bring it up. Okay, now we can attach these in our base. So I'm going to start with the easy one. That's going along the left cut edge, because I can just do that with my tape. And I'm sticking it on top and not behind, because I need space underneath the flap. At least a little bit. There is no gusset, but if you place it behind, there is even less space. Okay, make sure everything lines up on three sides. That's one. And then for this one, I'm going to use the fabric tag to adhere it. And when I use the fabric tag, it's gonna be messy, but I'm trying not to go too close to my folded edge, because if it's oozing out, you will see that it's becoming a little bit of a, yeah, those fibers, they dry up and you will see it later on. It's not nice. So I try to stay away from that a little bit. And now I need to make sure that I'm on the right score line. Like I said, it's hard to see, so I think I got it. To hold it in place, the bulk of my elastic cord is making it a little bit difficult here. So, or it is the elastic that's lying underneath, of course. Yeah. Okay, this really needs some time to dry. I hope it's going to stay without tape on it as well. Okay, it's just coming off. I don't know what is going on. But I'm going to place a strip of double-sided tape on here and then combine it a little bit with the fabric tag. Now, just like double-sided tape is not made for fabric, probably fabric tag is not made for paper. I'm not sure, didn't read the bottle that well. So then the tape will at least keep it in place. And it's only a little bit that it goes on the fabric, so. Try not to cover up the whole tape, but. Okay, let's try it again. Make sure that I have the right fold there. Don't go over that score line. So that's the 9 and 5/8 inch score line there, right? We don't want to go over it. Make sure that you can still see it after you've attached your piece B. See, that's what I mean when I say it's getting messy. Okay, I'm giving that a little bit of time to dry, but this is where we are now. And we can continue with our stacked pockets. And those are your pieces F and G. So you have 2 of each, and we're going to make sets, 2 sets with 1 piece of F and 1 piece of G in each set. Okay, piece F is going to be your normal pocket. We're going to miter the corners. You can do that for both pieces F. It's going to be exactly the same thing. And then for piece G, that's going to be your stack pocket. So we did the tape only on the short sides. And then I'm going to cut here with a slight angle just above the 1/2 inch score line along the bottom, up to the intersection of score lines. And then from the bottom I'm going to cut with an angle towards that intersection. So we cut off that piece. And you do that on both sides. Okay, then we can start folding. So for piece F you're going to fold on all 3 score lines. Burnish that. Okay, and then for piece G, you will only fold on your side flaps. And you don't do anything with that bottom score line. Okay, so starting with the first one, just open up both pieces B. I think that's the easiest way. We are working on the inside here. And we are going to start with our piece F, the small pocket. We are going to place it along the first score line you meet here on the spine. So for me again it's hard to see. So I'm just giving that an extra fold. I'm going to just slightly stay away from that fold there. And then I have about 1/8 of an inch space between the pocket and the fold here. And that is what I want. And again, I'm going to combine this in the corner with some fabric tack because I'm going on top of the fabric. So that should be this corner. Little spot there. So again, I have my eye on that fold and my own shadow of my arm is messing with seeing that. And then I bring it along the bottom edge. So this is where I say the attachments can be a little bit more difficult when you use the tape. It's hard to see where you are. Okay, once that is in place, we are going to get our piece G. You're going to slide that 1/2 inch in piece F up to the score line. Make sure that everything is straight and that you still don't go over your score line there. And if that is the case, we're going to remove the tape backing. Again, I need some fabric tack here. So slide that in and make sure that you're straight, don't go over the score line. And give that a burnish. Now again, this needs a little bit time to dry there, right? So don't start doing all the crazy stuff right away. Give that some time to dry. And then basically I'm going to do the same thing here on this side. But I need to see my other score line, which I guess it's that fold. Okay, so that will be okay. I can see that. So again, I do the same thing. I have my eye on that score line and then bring it along the bottom. And it might be that you have a little less space there up to the fold of this flap, depending on how you've placed that flap. If you've placed it a little bit more in, it might be that your space is a little less. So maybe you want to give yourself a double check before you stick it down that you fit with some space there. And this is what I don't like about the fabric tack, all the fibers that it's creating. So again, I'm just giving myself a check here. And on this side I need some extra glue. You stop automatically at that score line, but you just want to make sure for yourself that you're straight. Give that a burnish, and all of this will be covered up with pattern paper, so don't worry about that too much. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, and I will, with a glue eraser thing, I will try to get rid of those fibers later on a little bit better, because it's just messy. Okay, then I have one more thing that's a little bit different, at least, well, for me. I haven't done it before. But we have two pieces I. And for pieces I, I'm going to turn the pieces over to the bumpy side and place my tape on the bumpy side. Give that a burnish, and I will taper that 1/2 inch. And I'm going to fold towards the bump, like I always do. And open it back up. Okay. So what am I going to do? I'm going to open up my pieces B, these flaps here, and get one piece I. Now I'm going to place it where it's lying towards the bottom. You can also place it where it's lying towards the top. It's up to you. Just keep in mind there is bulk here at the bottom, and by placing it to the bottom we create all of our bulk at the bottom. I'm aware of that. Might be a reason for you to change that up. but I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to line up my piece with the left cut edge and the bottom cut edge, and with the measurement that I gave you in width, you will come up, if you've made the additional score line, approximately to that score line. So again, you have a little bit of space between the flap and the actual fold of your piece B. So it might be a little bit hard to see. Just remove my tape backing a little bit. So I'm lining up that corner here. Line up the cut edge on the side. Stick it down. Hold it in place carefully. And stick that down completely. And then you can fold it to the other side as well. But it's going to stay like this. I'm not going to use any magnets on here. You can if you want to, but I'm not going to do it. So here I will do the same thing, only I line it up with the right hand side, right, on the outside of the flap. So line up the corner, bring it along that side cut edge, stick it, making sure that I'm happy with my placement, hold it, and carefully remove the rest of the tape backing. And then we have it. Now what I want to do, yeah, I'm going to use a corner rounder. Let's see where I have it. Oh, right here. So on my piece B here, I'm going to round the corner at the top. So I'm just opening it up to where I can do that. And because I already have some add-ons, it's a little bit difficult. And then on the other side, I'm also doing it on top. Just making sure that I don't have anything there. Okay. And then you can also do the bottom, by the way, but I'm not going to do the bottom. Because I'm going to do the bottom of my flap here, piece I. And I'm going to do it here on the left, so on the outside, on the outer bottom corner. That's the easiest way to describe it, I guess. Then what you get is, if you have some pattern paper here, then you will have a straight corner there and a slightly rounded corner here. So you know you can flip it up, but when you flip it up, it should line up with the rounded corner here on top. And I like that. Just a silly thing, but I like it. So here I'm going to do the same thing on the outer bottom corner of piece I. I'm going to round that off. And then once this is closed, you have the same thing here, right? With your pattern paper, you're going to see that it's rounded there, which indicates that you can open it up, basically. So this is it. That's all that's to it. We can decorate it and fill it up. And oh right, I'm also rounding the corners here of my closure flap. And then once it's closed, we can use the elastic cord to keep it closed. And then of course decorate this. And this is the little folio that belongs to my journal set. And I like how that turned out. So yeah, this is one piece of the set that's going to be consisting out of 3 pieces. And in the next video, because I think this is going to be the first video, I am going to make the base where we are going to keep our journal pieces, our projects in, like a base where I can place this in and keep everything together. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is the first part. I'm going to continue decorate this, and then I can work on the other pieces. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a little bit different, but I like it. So and a good way to use this tape that I bought and didn't know what to do with it, so I've made something with it that makes me happy. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.